Hey there, students. Thank you for being part of this presentation. Today we're looking at U.S. history, United States history, semester A, and our focus is on Unit 2, which is the foundations of the United States. But our main concentration for this lesson is on the American Revolution tutorial. Please make sure that you are taking notes as you're reviewing this tutorial. This particular tutorial is very long. It has 53 slides or pages, so you need to be taking notes as you're going through this tutorial. And the objective is that you will explain and analyze the American Revolution. Very big topic here in this particular lesson. Now let's move on to your activities. We are now on page 15 of the American Revolution tutorial, and this is a fairly simple activity. All you're doing is you're looking at this particular information here, the tiles, and you're matching those tiles to the description here. For example, if you take the stamp back, you will move it to where you think it belongs. Once you're done with it, please make sure you hit submit, and you should be okay to move on to the next activity. We are now on page 23 of the American Revolution tutorial, and this is your lesson activity, Lexington. Let's read the directions so you'll know what to do here. Read the instructions for this self-check activity, type in your response to each question, and check your answers. At the end of the activity, write a brief evaluation of your work. Activity. In this activity, you will write a mock news account of the event at Lexington during the American Revolution. This report should be about 300 words. You can research online or at your own school library for additional information. So let's be clear here. Obviously, you need, or some of this information, it's already in the tutorial itself, but if you need more information, you need to obviously research what happened here, and you need to write a mock. This means that you need to have knowledge of what happened, need to know who was involved, and once you have all of that information, you should be able to do it here. Remember, this should be at least 300 words. This means that it should be somewhere between 3 paragraphs combined, I would say, to 5 paragraphs. Make sure that you put in your best effort here. This way your teacher will know that you understand the material. Let's move on. We are now on page 29 of the American Revolution tutorial, and this is another lesson activity, and it's about common sense. Let's go all the way because you know what it says here on the directions, but let's go all the way to the activity here, and then we can review what needs to be done. In this activity, you will read excerpts from Thomas Paine essay, Common Sense, and then answer the following questions in 2 or 3 sentences. Part A. According to Thomas Paine, what are the 3 components of the British Constitution that needed to be examined and improved for the betterment of English society? Fairly simple, just label them 1, 2, 3. Make sure you're obviously explaining each one. Don't just write 1 or 2 words, but put some effort and make sure that you're explaining each one. Part B. According to the essay, what are Paine's views on monarchy and hereditary succession? Make sure you provide, a couple of sentences, 4, 5, 6 sentences explaining what happened here. But again, you have to be able to read the Common Sense here article in order to answer both questions, part A, part B, and the rest basically of the activity. Now, part C. Why did Paine believe that Britain was unworthy of being called a republic? What was going on with Britain that Mr. Paine believed that they did not have that right or did not deserve to be called a republic? Please make sure you provide again at least 5 sentences, which is something that you should be able to do based on the information that you already have, based on your prior knowledge of this particular topic and the article that you were just reading. Let's move on. We are now on page 32 of the American Revolution tutorial, lesson activity, the Declaration of Independence. Let's go to the activity part and see what it's saying or telling us to do. In this activity, you will read the Declaration of Independence and use your knowledge of the time period to answer the following questions. Again, you need to focus on this particular link here, as this link will guide you and give you the answers to this activity. On top of that, you can do research online on your own And on top of that, you should be able to answer this question because you studied some of this stuff previously on this tutorial. So let's do part A, or let's look at part A. Briefly explain one philosophy that directly inspired the writing of the Declaration of Independence. Provide at least one piece of evidence to support your answer. So what you're doing here, you're looking at the article that we gave you, or if you have another article, use it. There's no problem with that. And explain what happened. Explain one philosophy, one of the many philosophies that were out there that basically influenced the Declaration of Independence. But make sure that you provide some type of evidence. Get a quote from the article and put it right here. So this way we'll know that you are following directions and that you are understanding what you need to do here. Part B says, the Declaration of Independence listed 27 injuries that the King of England had inflicted upon the American colonies. Choose one and explain how it fits into the context of the Revolutionary period. So right here, what you're doing is you're looking at the 27 injuries that were listed for the King of England to see and explain how that is related to the American Revolution. You should have a good solid paragraph here. Part C says, provide one piece of evidence from the Declaration that justifies American independence. Explain your answer. So among the many pieces of evidence that are given in the Declaration of Independence, you are asked to provide one. But do not just write that one. Make sure that you explain. The idea here is that you're able to explain why. And this way your teacher will know that you are following through with what you need to do. Let's move on. Alright, we are now on page 40 of the American Revolution tutorial, and this is the lesson activity, and it's basically a timeline that you're working here. Let's read the activity part here. In this activity, you will perform online research to read about the battles between the British and the American colonies between 1777 and 1781. And then fill in the timeline below with the battles that happened in that indicated month. So here you're basically looking at each battle and then obviously name the battle here on this particular area here. Once you have named the battle, you need to tell us, all right, so what happened at this battle? Did the British win? Did the Americans win? And how did they win? That's all you're doing here for all of this. So it's like a timeline that you're basically just plugging in information here. So this activity should be fairly easy. You can look them up obviously online. You can go back to a tutorial, and you should have your answers here. Let's move on. We are now on page 47 of the American Revolution tutorial, and here we have another lesson activity, African Americans in the American Revolution. Let's read the activity part so we'll know what to do here. In this activity, you will read about the role of African Americans during the American Revolution and write a paragraph about African Americans serving on the side of the Patriots during the Revolution. In order to answer this question, in order to provide us with a good solid paragraph here, you need to read this particular link here. It's important that you read and that you're taking some notes. And just a quick hint, before you actually read this, make sure you read the question, just like we did now. Once we know that what they're asking us for, then go here to the link and then read the article, and you should be able to find the answer fairly quickly. And history is about studying, history is about reading, history is about finding facts, and that is what you're doing here by going to all of these articles that we are giving you. Let's move on. We are now on page 50 of the American Revolution tutorial, lesson activity, and we're looking at revolutionary analogies. And let's read the activity part here, that way you know what to do. In this activity, you will write an analogy. A government-imposed curfew is one analogy for the American Revolution. Write another analogy that reflects what happened to trigger the colonists to revolt against the British and demand independence. So, it's basically an analogy that reflects as to what happened, an analogy that reflects your knowledge of what happened, and just provide us with a good analogy here, and you should be able to get a good grade if you do that. Like I mentioned at the beginning, this particular tutorial is long, it's 53 pages, and it should take you some time to get through it. And I know it's a lot, but history has so much information, especially the American Revolution. And we have come to the end of this presentation. I will see you in the next tutorial.